congratulations, you've just retired. And now you get to spend 24/7 with your wife.
That's what I was going to say. Congratulations. You get me
Yeah,
all
for
the time.
24/7. It's either going to be really good or it could be really bad. And we've seen it go really bad with many of our clients and couples.
You know, you figure you have more time, so you have the opportunity to make your relationship better or let the horse out of the barn and make it worse.
Yeah, and we struggled in the beginning, and we'll share with you some of the struggle we have. But we're here today to help you learn a new way to communicate with your husband or your wife or your partner. And the big thing here is learning how to respond in a conversation versus reacting, which we tend to do. We slip into that all the time. And it can damage even the strongest relationships.
And really, by we, you mean me, because I'm more the reactor. You are more thoughtful and more responding. And I tend to react a little bit more, but I'm kind of that firecracker, ready to go.
Firecracker? More like dynamite. Here's what some people say. I don't need to change. We get along just fine. Well, maybe you got along just fine because you were in the office all day or working wherever you were and she was home, or vice versa, or you were both working. So you're getting along fine because you're only spending, 4 or 5 hours a day with each other and weekends. This is a really important video to really find a way to not save your marriage maybe, but gosh, make it so much better.
And a lot of times we hear things like, it's too late for me to change my habits. And I know it's easy to fall back into old habits, but this is a habit, if it's yours, and I've already declared it's one of mine, that would take time, energy, and effort to change, but really be beneficial for both of you.
Right. Now, if you're new here, I'm Mark, and this is my wife, Jody.
And we don't focus on the financial aspects of retirement, but rather lifestyle, health, relationships, and more.
So, please hit the subscribe button. But more importantly for us, if you enjoy this video and our other videos, share them with people that you care about that are on the same journey so that they can benefit from what we have to talk about too.
So you know how during your career you would maybe say to each other, oh, we're like two ships passing in the night, and you'd kind of complain about that? Well, now you're two ships tethered together, and you're kind of complaining about that too?
Yeah.
Today's teaching points will really help you find the best way to ground your communication, take a pause, listen to each other more, and respond versus react.
So respond versus react. When you have admitted that you tend to react and you get short and you just kind of like say something and you just react to it.
Well, you're taking it to like
What?
the nth degree.
Well, what do you mean? Do you do it or you don't
do.
it? Okay. And the thing is, you don't mean any harm by it.
No.
I know you don't. And we went to a therapist before we got married. And the therapist said to us, you love each other, right? Of course we do. Would you ever say anything to the other person on purpose to hurt their feelings?
Right.
No. We fall back on that every day, 10 times a day.
No.
We fall back on that a lot. When I'm short or I react, I'm not doing it to hurt Jody's feelings.
Right.
And you're not doing it to hurt mine. It's what we do. So what we're going to talk about today is really preventing that from happening, because it can easily spin out of control, right?
Absolutely.
We struggled with it. We still do once in a while, but we kind of make a joke about it.
Right.
So the other thing is there's a free download in the notes below, a relationship toolkit. That'd be a really good thing for you guys to work on together if you haven't seen that before. But let's jump into the main points. And the first one is, why don't we talk about the difference between responding and reacting so that everyone knows what we're talking about?
Absolutely. Understanding this difference is crucial for your improving your interactions. So think about it for a second. Responding involves thoughtful consideration before you speak.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Wow, that was kind of a reaction.
But reacting is immediate and often emotional.
Right.
So you're not thinking about what you're saying, you're emotionally charged, and you just react to what your partner said.
And responses tend to be more constructive and solution focuses, whereas reactions can often escalate the conflict.
You think so?
Wow, I'm getting thrown right under the bus.
Listen, we struggle with this as a couple. and we keep working on it. And
Right.
we're making light of it today. But it's not. It's an important thing. So, if you can slow down, we're both meditators, so it kind of helps us clear our head. But when we're going to give you some tools in a minute, but when Jody says something to me or I say something to her, this meditation really allows us to slow down and think.
Right.
And pause before replying or reacting.
Well, not only that, but I also think the slowing down and pausing and responding versus reacting, you're also starting to become aware of any triggers that may help you manage reactions. Because sometimes, I know you want to point the finger at me as in terms of the reactor, but sometimes it's the person pushing the buttons that is causing the reactor to react.
Well, now that you bring it up, you're a good button pusher too. You remember that big fight in the closet back in
How come it's
Harrison?
always me?
Well, because you were pushing my buttons. This isn't about pushing buttons, it's about reacting.
But you do, on the other side of the equation, have to be aware if you are pushing buttons.
A button pusher. That's my new, okay, I saw the finger. So what causes people to react? Well, if you can identify the cause, it helps you in managing better behavior. So stress and anxiety, feeling threatened or attacked, and if I feel threatened or attacked, I'm gonna react. I'm not gonna respond, right? It could be that you've always done that. You're always short with people that you love, and there's this saying that you tend to be less patient with those that you love.
Yeah, harder on the people.
Harder because you think you can get away with it.
Right. There's also an element of perhaps lack of emotional awareness. People are different. I'm very different than Mark. I've got pretty thick skin, and I don't get rattled at passing comments or snarkiness or anything. You, however, are very sensitive. Mm-hmm. And you get a little bit more sensitive if I come off too quick or if I react. So some of it just might be being aware of the other person's emotional status.
I feel like I need to call a therapist. You're right. Okay. What happens to the relationship? What damage is caused when one or the other reacts? And it can have long-term negative effects on the relationship. And again, we're talking today about saving your marriage, but also making it better.
Right.
But if you are constantly reacting, it's going to create misunderstandings and conflicts. Trust and safety in a relationship is going to go away. And, I'm going to get bitter and have resentment towards you if you're constantly reacting.
Right. It definitely damages your emotional intimacy and that ability to connect. And it causes distance, which often allows for disconnect. And the last thing we want for you in this stage of life is a disconnect with your life partner, because now's your time to spend it together and do everything that you want to do together and separate sometimes, but for long-term goals together.
Right. As you said earlier, you said that, two ships passing in the night. Now the two ships are docked right next to each other, and I don't want to have this come out the wrong way. There's no escape. You
want an escape?
I need an escape once in a while. I need my alone time. So, but there's no escape. There's no work. There's no business trip.
Right.
You're just together all the time. And it can be beautiful, and it is for us.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Is it or isn't it?
It is.
It is.
It is.
All right.
I don't know. You threw that thing in about business trips. Makes me wonder. Business trips, huh?
I haven't had a business trip in a long time. All right. How do we move towards a more friendly, caring method of responding? How have we done it?
Well, shifting from reacting to responding can really transform your relationship. And that is a very serious statement. Practicing active listening, developing empathy and understanding of the other person's perspective, and using I statements to express feelings as opposed to you statements that put blame. Like
you did earlier in the video where you do this and you do that.
I did?
Yeah, you did. They know that. They watched it. No, but you're right. I statements are so much more powerful. Right. I have this thing with you that sometimes you'll say something and I'm so much better at just saying, I need to let you know that what you just said is making me feel this way.
Right.
It's hurting my feelings. And your typical reaction to that is what?
I'm so sorry.
No, it's not. Man up. Be tougher. Don't be such
I
a
do
wuss.
not say that. You're going to get, you know how many comments I'm going to get because you said that?
I'm going to get comments. We love each other so much, and this is something that we work on. And
It
we
is
want
very-
you guys.
it is very
And you know,
difficult.
we make light of it. It's-
Well, and astrology has me as a Taurus, the bull, because I'm an April birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of a hard charger, and sometimes I have to remember the you in the equation who isn't a hard charger.
No.
And I can just, rattle things off like that, and you take a little bit more time, and I need to really build my emotional intelligence through self-reflection to help you see me in a better light.
Okay. Are you still with us? We're doing this right on the fly, figuring this out. So using I statements is good.
Yeah.
Take some time to cool down before addressing a conflict. Like a few minutes ago, right before the video started, we had a little conflict, and I got mad.
You did.
I did get mad. I'm not mad now. I'm happy because I love you. Engage in regular communication about your feelings and needs. That's really important.
Absolutely.
And over time, you'll build emotional intelligence through self-reflection with your wife or partner.
Right.
And if it's really bad, get a therapist.
Right.
Get professional
Absolutely.
help. Don't be afraid of that. I mean, you want to save your marriage, make it better. Sometimes you need professional help.
There are some clear benefits of responding thoughtfully. Highlighting positive outcomes encourage the adoption of new habits, new and better habits. Enhancing your mutual respect and understanding for each other is a big benefit of responding thoughtfully.
Just thinking. Reducing conflict and tension is really important to do, or that's not important to do. It's what you get when you really
good
start
benefit.
to respond thoughtfully. It promotes better problem solving and cooperation and collaboration.
Yeah.
Because if you're responding thoughtfully, I don't get all riled up.
Right. Well,
Right.
what
And-
it does is it fosters a loving and supportive
Right,
environment,
right,
which
right.
everybody wants in their marriage, right?
Okay.
So,
So here's some tips to improve response skills. Number one, practice deep breathing exercises. Sounds kind of silly, but it's not. I mean, how many times do you see me count to 10 and take a deep breath? That's a signal. That's my signal to Jody that maybe
but you do it like this. Like you don't even do it in your head. The hands come out.
But it makes you laugh.
It does make me
and
laugh.
disarms the whole thing,
Right.
and then we kind of fix it. So that's one thing we do.
Another thing to do is maybe, and you guys know we're big journalers. Wow, tongue-tied. Keep a journal to track any triggers and reactions. Role play some scenarios in your mind and practice the response. I actually will do that sometimes, especially if I know that a topic that we have that we're going to discuss is trigger filled and emotional and it's going to cause a rise. I try to role play it a little bit in my head first.
I remember my brother Chuck and his wife Jeannie. Chuck's passed away a couple years ago, but didn't they have a word that they said when there was something going on in their relationship?
No, I don't know.
And they were in trouble, or they were about to go into a place of a fight, or using the wrong or reacting, or whatever it is. So they had a word that they used, and whenever one of the two of them said that word, I don't know, vanilla ice cream, that meant, okay, time out. This is about to get out of hand. Let's talk about this and do it in a kind and loving way.
I know our kids have that. I know
They do?
Evan and Hayden have
A word?
they have let's roll that back.
Oh, yeah, they do say that.
When the conversation is getting a little heated and they find themselves, they're recently engaged, and they find themselves kind of going in different directions, one of them will call a timeout and say, let's roll that back.
Yeah.
And they give themselves, as a couple, a redo,
Yeah.
which I think is very healthy.
So I think the biggest tip is, as you're watching this video, if you and your husband or wife or partner or whoever it is have this problem, talk about it, and talk about it without reacting, and just come to an agreement that you're very kind about the fact that you say that you do react on occasion, like once a week. And we talk about it and we know. And I have thicker skin. I realize she doesn't want to do that on purpose, but we talk about it. So I think really just opening the door instead of just getting mad,
Right.
Instead
It's
of getting
also
mad.
it's important to like kind of review, especially if you're making progress in this. Like,
Are we?
hey, let's give each other a high five on that.
We did good today. You only reacted like 3 times this morning.
Your relationships can thrive in retirement with mindful and thoughtful communication. By choosing to respond rather than react, you can create a loving and supportive environment that enriches your life.
So start implementing these strategies. We really want to transform your marriage. You want to make it better in retirement. We hope you enjoyed this. This next video, strengthen your relationship in retirement. We give you 10 easy steps to work together as a couple, including identifying toxic patterns, leaving past issues in the past, dropping the silent treatment. I used to do that all the time. I used to go in my cave. And not engaging in emotional blackmail. So watch this video next.